Kia ora, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week we get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news the IMF sees the global economy in a sticky spot. But first up today, we can report that the overnight dairy auction defied recent trends and the futures market. Instead of another retreat, in fact, it held virtually unchanged, up 0.4%. But the two key powders did decline, just not as much as expected. Skim milk powder was down 1.1%, less than the 2% expected, and whole milk powder was down 1.6%, much less than the 6% decline expected. The event was rescued by the 6.2% rise in cheddar cheese, and to a lesser extent the 0.8% rise in the butter price. The small 0.4% gain in US dollars was enhanced to 0.8% in New Zealand dollars. Now all eyes will turn to the New Zealand Consumers Price Index for the June quarter, which will be released at 10:45 a.m. this morning. Check back then because we'll have full coverage of the data that could well be market moving. Overnight, American retail sales rose 2.3% in June from a year ago, not quite enough for this to be a real gain, but closer than recently. There was no change between May and June because car sales took a breather. In Canada, CPI inflation for June was released overnight and it eased to 2.7% from 2.9% in the prior month. This wasn't expected because markets had assumed it would remain at the 2.9% mark. The Canadians have already started their easing cycle in their policy interest rate, even though they target a 2% midpoint in a 1.3% range. The IMF expects the global economy to grow 3.2% in 2024, the same as the April outlook, but the 2025 growth forecast was revised higher to 3.3%. For Australia, they marginally lowered their 2024 estimate by 0.1%, but left the 2025 estimate unchanged. New Zealand did not get a mention in this report. Meanwhile, they warned that services inflation is holding up progress on disinflation globally, which is complicating monetary policy normalisation. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now at 4.17% and down 5 basis points from yesterday. But the price of gold will start today up $42 at $2,464 an ounce, and that's an all-time record high. And oil prices are down $1, just on $80.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is just over $83.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today sharply lower at 60.4 US cents and down nearly another half a cent. Against the Aussie, we're down to 89.8 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're down to 55.5 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at 69.3 and down 30 basis points from yesterday. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.